Hey everyone, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of Pokken Babblers podcast. And live here next to me is my co-host Bano.
Yep.
And it's really weird to do this right now. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 complete seasons at this point. We've done like 40 episodes at this point, I think, of Babblers.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so we've never done an in-person one, so this is the first time.
First time.
Yeah, so...
I was in the Matrix, then I was in fucking Night City, now I'm in the flesh.
In the flesh. So this episode is part of Season 2, this is episode 17, and this is on Pokken Tournament, which was initially released for the arcades in Japan in 2015, and there was actually one release of an arcade cabinet in New York at one point before the Wii U game released. But then after that, it was released for the Wii U worldwide on March 18th, 2016. And so this game was developed by Bandai Namco, who we know also from New Pokemon Snap, from Smash Bros. Ultimate, and like a million other games.
They got their hands on pretty much everything. I don't know if they're just like a help you get the game finished kind of company, or like they just have like the manpower to throw at everything and they just hire them out. I don't know what they do, to be honest.
Yeah, like they really focus on a lot of fighting games, so I guess it just makes sense that they would work on this one too.
Right.
Because like there's like, I mean, obviously in the name Pokken, which is related to Tekken, which is developed by Bandai Namco. They switched it up so many times too. Like they were like Namco Bandai, they were Bandai Namco. There were 2 different companies, and it's like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess that this is probably the best possible developer to make this happen. I mean, if it didn't have the Pokken name, like, I feel like that Bandai Namco would be the best developer for it. And so, this is, I mean, the only way that I see this as a real, like, crossover is from the name and the fact that it's, like, more of a traditional fighter rather than, like a Pokemon kind of turn-based battle game.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely has like a weird spot. This came out, what did you say,
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
So from 96, it took 20 years to get an actual Pokemon fighting game.
Yeah, because we had Stadium, but that was more of like traditional Pokemon battling, and then this one is more of a just like an actual fighter.
An actual fighter game. So it seems it's a very weird one to, in the list of spin-offs that we have. So yeah, I never really enjoyed fighting games. I don't know why. I just think it's because I never owned any when I was growing up. The only fighting game I owned was Kung Fu.
Kung Fu?
Yeah, Kung Fu for Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't think I played
NES.
that.
My bad.
Yeah. Kung Fu was like an OG Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I'm totally well versed in Pokemon or in fighting games, but like I grew up playing Tekken 3. That was huge for me. I played the hell out of Soul Calibur 2 and Soul Calibur 3 especially. Yeah, those were definitely the franchises that I was most familiar with growing up, was Tekken and Soul Calibur. And so playing Pokken Tournament for the first time felt pretty familiar, although it definitely is different, but not in a bad way. Like, at first, I remember I got this game right when it released. I had a pre-order, because we'll talk about it later, but there was a pre-order bonus with it that I thought was worth it. And yeah, I really liked this. I mean, I liked it when it first came out, but I liked it even more with the deluxe version of it, which came out on the Switch, which we'll of course talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so like we said, there's an arcade fighter that's strongly based off the Tekken series, and this game is based in the Farum region, which is just another region that they decided to create for this one.
Right.
The playable character is called a battle Pokemon, so the one that you're in the ring with. And then you have assist characters, which is a team of 2 Pokemon. Those are called supports. And so sometimes they have a relation to each other. Sometimes like a really strong one and a really weak one. Sometimes it's 2 legendary. Sometimes like 2 mid-stage evolutions. There's a whole bunch of them. We'll probably go over them in a little bit. But yeah, like the gameplay from this, it shifts between like 2D and 3D fighting. And that basically it starts in the 3D environment, which is called the field phase. And then once you do a certain move or like a certain strong move, then it turns into the duel phase, which is the 2D fighter. And I feel like that whenever I battle, it changes so quickly. Like it's like duel phase, field phase, and it switches very quick. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just my character is just hitting certain moves, or there's a certain like way of doing it, but I feel like I did a lot whenever I play. And
sounds complex.
Yeah, and the gameplay also changes slightly too, because it goes from like the 2D fighter is more akin to Tekken, and I feel like the 3D fighter is kind of like, it's kind of its own thing, which, I mean, I'm sure that more experienced gamers for fighting games could probably tell me in the comments like what it is, But I mean, this one it's like it's kind of unique with at least with the way that it plays. And each battle has different, or each battle Pokemon has different like HP values, and they have different stats. So they have different stats and they have different attacks as well. So they have their normal, their grab, and their counter attacks, and they work around each other in like a rock paper scissors fashion, almost like types in the main series games. So like a grab would take over like this, and a counter would take over that. I don't remember exactly how they work in tandem with each other, but it's basically in that format. And so each Pokemon has what they call a synergy gauge. So you have like the HP gauge up top, and then on the corner you have your synergy. And so as you hit moves and whatnot, that's kind of like a power meter in a way.
Right.
And so once that synergy gauge hits full, then you're in synergy. You're basically in a synergy burst mode. And so with that one, it raises your attack and defense temporarily. Also refills a little bit of HP. And you can also do what they call a burst attack in this, which is like a super strong attack.
Yeah, like smash cut to the Pokemon,
Yeah.
and then it does the move or whatever.
Exactly. And the Pokemon that can Mega Evolve will Mega Evolve. So if you have like a Charizard, it'll turn to Mega Charizard X. Gardevoir will be Mega Gardevoir, so on and so forth.
Right, like the 4 Megas that are in this game.
Exactly. But it's nice that they actually have them. And also, I gotta say, the models in this game are astounding. They look so freaking good. Like, these are probably the best models that we've had until, like, Scarlet and Violet. Like, the models in Scarlet and Violet, I think, are really good, for the most part. But this one, there's so much detail in them, and it's cool that, like, a third-party developer could actually, like, add their own flair to it. Like, you'll see, like the characters with fur will actually have detailed hairs, or, like, those with, like, feathers, like Empoleon, like, everything's pronounced, and it just looks really, really clean. And so the battle Pokemon in there, at least introduced on the Wii U, were Charizard, Pikachu. There's a special like Luchador Pokemon called Pikachu Libre.
Pikachu Libre.
Yeah, so it has like a mask and like a whole like getup.
Is it a male or a female?
Female, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because the female Pokemon the female Pikachu is the one that's the costume Pikachu, the cosplay Pikachu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one has like the heart on the tail.
The heart on the tail.
Mm-hmm. And so there's Machamp, Gengar, Mewtwo. There's a character called Shadow Mewtwo, which we'll get into when we talk about the plot. Suicune, Sceptile, Blaziken, Gardevoir, Garchomp, Lucario, Weavile, Chandelure, and Braixen. Which is odd that they added Braixen out of all.
Mid-evolution?
Yeah, just a mid-evolution, and also just like, why Braixen? Mm-hmm. But I think this was during the session. Or I think this was during Gen. No, this was during Gen 7, I want to say. So this was. I think this was on this was right before Gen 7.
That was the start. I don't know if exactly Sun and Moon had come out yet.
Yeah, no, that's a release date for Sun and Moon. Yeah, Sun and Moon came out in November 2016.
Okay.
But this game came out in March 2016, so this was right before Gen 7. So I guess it would make sense because they needed at least one Gen 6 representative.
Right.
And so the Pokemon for support, they have a cheer skill that's set before the battle where you can either support your battle Pokemon or disrupt the opponent. So each one kind of has their own pros and cons. Like some will give you like an extra double jump. Some will like, if you like defend, it'll do like an explosion, like Electrode will do that. And they all have their own benefits to them. And so you got to kind of pick because each one, they're like in groups of 2. And before the fight starts, you pick one of the 2 to use in that round. And so the support Pokemon, there's a lot of them. So Emolga Fennekin, Snivy Lapras, Frogadier Eevee, Dropsy Whimsicott, Ninetales Mismagius, Farfetch'd Electrode, Rotom Togekiss, Dragonite Victini, Krogan Sylveon, Pachirisu Magikarp, Cubone Diglett, Magneton Quagsire, Espeon Umbreon, Reshiram Cresselia, and Yveltal Latios. So the one that I ended up using the most was Farfetch'd Electrode. I really liked Electrode's ability, which was the one I mentioned just a moment ago. And so that one was very useful for me. And each one also, it takes time to like build up the support gauge as well. So some of them will refresh faster, others will take longer. So like a Pokemon like Reshiram will have a slow refresh cycle where like a Magikarp will be fast.
Right.
Yeah, it's like slow, fast, and average.
The only exposure I have to this is from a guy that did like a lot of Smash videos, like, Kirby's OP or Mario's OP. He did one for Pokken Tournament with Weavile. And I think like one of the Smash cuts he did is like he's fighting somebody and they use their support skill and it's a Victini, it's like Legendary Crutch, and then he pops his support skill, which is the Magikarp, and goes Humble Fish.
Oh my god. But I didn't get to use Weavile just yet. I was mainly using Gardevoir in my playthroughs. And then recently I did a stream of the Deluxe version and I was trying out different like fighting classes because there's There's like average, there's a speed character, there's power, there's technical. And so I was using Gardevoir, who's technical, and then I went to go try the different types. And I tried Charizard, who's a power family, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But I felt like I really struggled with using Charizard. Mm-hmm. But then I switched to Sizzler, who was a power character, and that one I was doing really well with.
Okay.
But yeah, Gardevoir was comfortable for me, though. Yeah, but mainly I chose that because of obvious reasons.
Right.
Because Bano chose in the Overworld versus challenge, which you could check link down below. Yeah, there's 3 types of battles in this. There's the basic battle, which is a classic 2 knockout fight. There's the extra battle, which is a 3-round battle that includes collectible orbs that can either boost or hinder your stats. And then there's team battle, which is in the deluxe version. We'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. So the skill levels for the battle Pokemon can be increased. So the 4 stats that we have are attack, defense, synergy, and strategy. Mm-hmm. And so the attack and defense work kind of similar to the main series games where it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Synergy will help like at least keep your synergy gauge longer when you're in burst mode. And then the strategy one helps with at least with damage inflicted by support Pokemon. Okay. So yeah, they all are used.
Do you get one of those after every fight?
No, you level up. So when you do a battle, you gain experience points, and so when you level up, you get one of those points that you could choose where it goes to.
Because like in that same video, he did 50 into attack, just attack. Yeah. He like had the 49 and then like went around all of them, and then just went like played like some Skrillex or something and was like put it all into attack.
Yeah, I was mainly focusing on the first 3. I didn't really focus too much on strategy because it just took a while for it to refresh. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like I felt like I was using more of the synergy burst more than strategy. Okay, so Ferrum League is where the trainers try to become the champion, and the goal is to get into the top 8 trainers who then duke it out for the championship. And there are 4 modes of this battle over here. So there's a league battle, which is initially the only mode where the player makes their journey in a set of 5 matches. Okay. And then there's tournament where you're in the top 8 and you go through there in a bracketed battle to become champion. So it's like 4 battles. Okay. And then there's promotion. That's where you battle that champion or the leader of that league. Which there's a D, C, B, A, and the top league. I forget what it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's a few different ones you have to go through. And then after that is the free battle. So you battle against a random member of the respective league. So you can kind of like test it out before you go in.
Okay.
Yeah, so amiibo are used to unlock otherwise unobtainable avatar costume items because you could change like your character's outfit. Not the battle Pokemon, but your character itself.
Okay.
And so also pre-order bonus.
Not yet. Not till we get to Pokemon Unite. Then you dress up your Pokemon.
Yeah, then you dress up your Pokemon. So after that, there's a Shadow Mewtwo promotional card that was available for the for pre-order, or at least I guess not pre-order, but it's like the first run of copies for this game. You got a Shadow Mewtwo card, which is what incentivized me to get it. Because like, oh, this is gonna be cool. This is in the middle of the like big amiibo craze, so I was like all over this, and so I got it, and it unlocks Shadow Mewtwo to use it. But what's kind of silly about it is until Shadow Mewtwo is officially unlocked, you have to use the card over and over. It just temporarily unlocks it for the playthrough. Oh, wow. So if you close out of the game, then you got to go and just use the card again, which isn't a big deal, but I mean, I just wish that like once you did it, you just have it permanently.
Right.
Yeah. And so just a few random factoids before we get into the plot. So this was the only Pokemon game to use its Japanese logo in international releases.
Right.
And also none of the playable characters or support Pokemon are rock type. So odd.
All right.
Yeah, and then this was the last Pokemon game released for the Wii U, but also the first one released for the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
So, yeah, because it was like right in between, because it came out in March 2016, and then the Switch came out in March 2017.
Right.
And then Pokken Tournament came out shortly after that. But, yeah, with all that being said, let's just get into the plot of it, which isn't really an interesting plot, in my opinion. It's pretty basic. So, yeah, it's pretty basic. So, in the Ferrum region, basically the player and the Pokemon aim to get to the top of the Ferrum League, like we mentioned before.
Right.
They meet a character named Nia, who's their guide, and who's also very freaking annoying.
Yeah, that was the one thing he put on the videos. Like, she's just like, every time she chimed in, he would like play like sad music or like put like an annoyed emoji or something like that.
It's probably one of the most annoying like assist characters I've ever dealt with in a video game. And it's like you could turn off her dialogue and stuff during the battle, but then afterward you still have to hear from her a little bit, and it's the same stuff repeated over and over. And also on top of that, I mean, like, I mean, I guess it's the best he could do with the dialogue, but the voice acting was really bad.
Oh.
Like, it was some of the worst, like, I'm reading from a script I've ever heard in my life. It was really, really cringe. And so they're making their way through the promotion test, and then the player is ambushed by a young woman with a Shadow Mewtwo, which basically they call it like, oh, it's like, oh, it's the black Pokemon. It's like, oh, is that Mewtwo? It's Mewtwo, but it's black.
Oh.
I was like, okay, like, like they emphasized it every time. It's really weird.
That might just be a Japanese thing. Like they might have just been like a direct translation, and they didn't think about like the context of the situation.
No, yeah, exactly. And so you battle against Shadow Mewtwo, and then regardless of the outcome, if you win or lose, you're promoted to the next rank either way, because that's just kind of getting ambushed. And so then the player must battle Shadow Mewtwo again after the previous encounter. And so after clearing the third rank, the league is put on hold as a result of the draining Gaia energy, because basically it's all being like, everything is all based off of like these like it's like a synergy stone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like the synergy stones help with all of the, basically just like the overall synergy bursts and stuff in the area, kind of like what was it? What was in Gen 8? The Dynamaxing?
Wish stones?
Yeah, like the Wish stones or like the Terra orbs and stuff like that. It's it's something like that basically. And so this character is revealed to be a person named Anne, and she explains all the events that happened. Basically, the Shadow Mewtwo was a normal Mewtwo that was corrupted by a Shadow Synergy Stone in its shoulder.
Which, happy birthday to Mewtwo.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mewtwo. Yeah, literally, it just happened. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yesterday, February 6th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yesterday as we're recording this video. So, when Anne was a child, the stone endangered her, but Mewtwo sacrificed itself to save her. Now the stone is forcing it to fight everyone and gain their power. And Anne hopes to save the Mewtwo by purifying the Shadow Synergy Stone using a regular Synergy Stone. Mm-hmm. So Anne guides the player and Nia to the Reggie Ruins, where the elder Walt, I don't know, Walt, reveals the Synergy Stone and it's lacking power to purify the Shadow. So this can be repaired by exposing it to high-level battles, so literal plot device.
All right.
So Walt challenges the player and directs them to fight 3 others scattered throughout the region. And after the second fight, Anne realizes that time has run out and Shadow Mewtwo must be dealt with immediately.
Okay.
So the player then goes to Northern Farum to Shadow Mewtwo's hideout and is basically they're unable to use a Synergy Burst due to drainage and Gaia. So the final battle with Shadow Mewtwo ends with a tie, and for the final round, Anne's prayers literally is like praying to help the player permanently Synergy Burst, which then overwhelms and defeats Shadow Mewtwo. So with the disaster averted, the Farum League opens and the player reaches the top and wins the Chroma League. That's what it was called. I forgot about that.
Chroma.
Then afterwards, the Iron League becomes available. And then after that, you can just go through more tournament stuff. So that's basically the plot. It's just literally just stop Mewtwo.
Yeah, okay.
So do you just want to get straight into Tournament Deluxe?
I mean, we can talk about the...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk about the plot. They're not really good.
Yeah.
I'd say the only standout plots Pokemon has ever had has been probably Gen 1 for its simplicity, Gen 5, and Gen 9, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Crystal had a little bit of plot. It wasn't really that much.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Gen 5 had the most fleshed out plot.
Like,
I mean,
Gen
at
2
least
was great,
early,
don't get me wrong, but
Gen
like story-wise doesn't have a lot.
Gen 9's plot was really good,
Gen
though.
9's plot was very good.
Gen 8 was kind of whatever, but Gen 9's plot was great. Gen 5 was great.
Keep the writers, whoever wrote Gen 9's plot, keep them on.
Yeah, keep them for sure. But, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the Wii U version, but I had way more fun with the deluxe version. I don't know, maybe it's because, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just more characters in there, but it's just like, because I played it and I just didn't think much of it, and then recently when I played it on stream, I just had way more fun with it. I just like, dang, where has this been my whole life?
Right.
So I'm probably going to be playing it a lot more.
I don't know. For me, it's like with fighting games, especially, it's like you harken back to the old days of like an arcade. You just go and you put in $1 or whatever to play the game. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like somewhere my brain is miswired. Like I can't justify paying a full game price to have that at home.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how dedicated you are to the cause, and especially since you haven't like been indoctrinated into fighting games. Like, I can't imagine there being much point for you.
I also can't imagine like the play cycle going as long as it does for some people, because I know some people play it with obviously the intent to go to like Evo or play professionally.
Yeah.
But for like your average person, how many times can you really play before you're like, oh, okay, and is that really worth the $70 it now is?
Right, and it's not really it's not like it's like a party game per se. It's like
Right.
it's one-on-one, so it's just two people playing.
Right.
So I can't imagine like local multiplayer being super popular, but like online multiplayer I feel like would be bigger.
Is this before the Switch Online? It is.
Yeah,
But
it
did
was
you have to pay it for Wii U?
For Wii U, no, they never charged for
it was
online.
free.
Yeah, it was free, which is nice, but yeah, I feel like that this would be more popular as an online title, I guess, like for like online competitive. But yeah, I feel like that Smash Bros itself would be more as like
Right.
like this is what's gonna get people to buy a system.
This is the fighting game for the Switch.
Yeah.
It's not a Mortal Kombat or a Tekken that you have a Xbox or a PlayStation for.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get the Switch to play Smash.
Yeah.
But I think Pokken doesn't match up.
I just can't imagine like somebody being motivated to buy a Switch just to buy Pokken Tournament. I feel like somebody could buy a Switch just to play Smash,
Right.
but not for Pokken. But I mean, for what it's worth, if you do have a Switch like this and you like fighting games, this is a good one to get. Like I would recommend it personally.
Right.
But yeah, just like an average Joe like Pokemon fan, like it's not really the game for like everybody. And if you don't have a Switch, don't let this sell this on you. Like go with like Tekken 8 or like Street Fighter 6 or something like that.
Right. Or if
like,
you can find it in a bargain bin.
Yeah.
And if you still own a Wii U.
But or yeah, even if you have a Wii U, but honestly, like, if you have a Switch, just get the deluxe version. Like I think it's like I got it for like $20-$30. Like it was on sale from GameStop, so it's like I don't think you need to get it at $60 at this point anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but later on, like a little bit over a year and a half later, they released the deluxe version on the Switch on September 22nd of 2017. So that was during the launch year of the Nintendo Switch. There were new Pokemon available. So the new battle Pokemon available were Darkrai, Scizor. Actually, these were previously from the arcade. So they brought in Darkrai, Scizor, Croagunk, and Empoleon from the arcade version. And then there were Switch exclusive Pokemon. Sorry, I can't talk. Decidueye, Aegislash, Blastoise are added as new characters, but the latter of the two were DLC characters. So Aegislash and Blastoise.
Nice.
They're
They
part
put
of
in Gen 7 Pokemon now that it's out.
Yeah, Gen 7 represent. Yeah, and there were also some Switch exclusive support Pokemon too. So Lit and Poplio, Mega Rayquaza and Mimikyu, and then Mew and Celebi, which the latter two teams are also DLC.
I was going to say, it seems a little odd that they would put Decidueye in over Incineroar. But I guess Incineroar maybe hadn't gotten as popular as it is now. Because Incineroar is in Smash.
But there's also a lot of fire-type Pokemon in this game too. There's not that many grass types.
Yeah, but it's not about types in this game.
Yeah, I mean, not really, but I mean, I guess that, like, if they're trying to have more variety of it overall, like, because they had Charizard, they had Blaziken, they had Braixen, they had, I think they had more fire Pokemon, I can't remember, but they only had Sceptile from what I remember.
For grass?
Yeah, for grass. Yeah, so I feel like that, I mean, also, Decidueye looks cool, and I feel like that it would be better in this case over here, because in the main series games it's pretty slow, and I feel like in this one it makes more sense to have it in, like, a direct fighter. Yeah, but Incineroar makes even more sense.
Incineroar's a wrestler.
Also, Emboar makes sense, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh well. I mean, I feel like that they could have. I mean, they have to add Charizard, like it's legal obligation at this point.
And Lucario.
Yeah, they didn't need to add Blaziken, but I love Blaziken. That's probably my favorite of the firefighting starters. But yeah, I think Emboar or Incineroar would have made more sense. Or Infernape. Yeah. I mean, I can't see Infernape any more or less than Blaziken. I feel like they're kind of in the same kind of thing.
I think if they did
or Throw or Sock would have made sense.
Like if they did Emboar as like the heavy one in. Infernape is probably the fast one, and then Blaziken is the one in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. That would make sense. Yeah, and then Shadow Mewtwo is immediately locked by default, so the Amiibo card just works like any other Amiibo one, just gives you just a customizable avatar stuff. And then there are several avatar items and titles that are unlocked via passwords, so there's like outfits, there's a certain title. I think the only ones that are available right now for like a title are Christmas ones.
Oh.
Yeah, which is really weird. It's like Happy Holidays or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, so it's funny when you use the passwords for like you'll get like a leather jacket or you'll get like a hat or whatever. It unlocks all of the colors for it, and it's like you got a new item, you got a new item, you got a new item. It was so funny. So like I was unlocking them, and I was just there like for like 5 minutes, just hearing how many times you could just say you got a new item, and I'm like. It was funny, it was hilarious, but it just took forever.
It's like when you, not soft reset, it's like when you time skip in Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet for Mass Outbreak.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, you had a new outbreak, you got a new outbreak.
You new outbreak. Thank God it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, that one said it every time. So, yeah, we also mentioned earlier that there was a couple different new battle modes. So there's Team Battle. So you and the opponent pick 3 Pokemon to use, and then you select the Pokemon that you want to start with, and the first player to knock out all 3 of the opponent's Pokemon wins. But each time you take damage, that carries on to the next round. So let's say if you're like battling and you end up with like 10 health at the end, you have to start the next round with 10 health on that Pokemon. It doesn't like refresh. So then they could knock you out like right away.
Right.
Yeah, and so that one I have not tried out just yet, but it sounds fun in theory.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's a couple things, mission panels which provide specific challenges to complete each league, and then rewards are given out for each completed one. So it's like, oh, do like 15 like counterattacks, or do like 10 grab attacks or whatever. And then there's the official group matches, which those give special titles for participating, kind of like the ranked battles in Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of like that. I also haven't participated in that just yet. I don't think I will because I'm not that good. Like, I would probably just play casually because I'm always a casual player. I'm never really a competitive person.
Right.
But honest to goodness, though, I really had a blast with this. Like, I had so much fun with this. I'm going to be going back to it regularly after just playing it again. Because I was playing it in part because I hadn't played it in a long time, and also in part that we were recording this episode, and I wanted to be at least a little bit more familiar because it's, like, right there.
Right.
And honestly, though, like, if I were to give it a rating, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Like, I had a lot of fun with this. And if you like fighters, this is something that'd be up your alley. But, like, I grew up with fighters. I grew up with Tekken and Soul Calibur and a little bit of Dead or Alive. But, yeah, so this just felt familiar to me. So I think that's what it was, because I've been so, like, depraved of fighters lately. And I've been seeing everybody playing Tekken 8, which just came out. And I'm so envious. I'm like, dang, I want to play that so bad. And yeah, maybe that's what it was. That it's just like, it just felt like, oh, this is fun again. But, yeah, but I mean, I can imagine for anybody else that's like just a Pokemon fan trying to play a fighter that this isn't going to be like worth it.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other?
I'm trying to think about how this game could perform as like a modern day, not a modern day equivalent, but like a platform going forward. Like, how long do you think Pokken, if it came out today with like a brand new version, how long do you think the life cycle of that version would be? Do you think it would be a year?
Unless they make it more, I feel like if they focus more on like a party aspect, whereas like more people could join in and there's other like fun modes and stuff, I can't imagine it being super viable.
Right.
I feel like that this one is good enough for like a competitive scene, unless there's something where like competitive Pokken Tournament players have gripes with the game, then I can't imagine how much they could improve upon this. Like, I feel like that the setup that they have is good enough.
I feel like there are a couple things they could add. Like, it's like the mini game for like Smash, like where you like do like the targets or whatever.
Oh yeah, like break the targets and board the platforms and stuff like that.
I feel
like bonus
that
rounds
could be added to the game, as well as like a spectator mode on just like random matches would be a good thing. Also, would definitely help like tournaments. If they had like official ones and whatnot, you know, you instead of having to go on Twitch and deal with all that, you could just load your Switch up and like, you know, watch the thing. Also, easy way to do updates to everyone. Hey, the whatever tourney is going to be available from now till now. Obviously, more fighters. But I can't, from the gameplay, I have like no input. I don't know how that would change. Do you feel like the hitboxes were good or they were?
I mean, I didn't have any issue with it. I mean, there were some times where I feel like if you're using a really tall character, you might miss if the Pokemon's shorter. Like when I was playing with Charizard, I was going against a Braixen, and I feel like that some of my hits, like the tail was just going above it.
Okay.
But I mean, the hitboxes are pretty accurate. So like, I don't think there's any qualms on that.
Do you think the stat distribution thing should be removed as a feature or kept, or only for like story mode?
I think with that one, it should be kept only for story mode.
Only for story mode?
Yeah, I think it should be kept for story mode. And because I noticed that it was in like the regular, like versus like regular, like just player versus computer mode. And that was a little bit weird. I didn't expect that. But it wasn't something I was against.
Okay.
Like, but if it wasn't there, I wouldn't think anything of it. And I'd probably prefer it that way. But yeah, also, it's like when you're in like the tournament mode, they kind of expect you to stay with the same Pokemon. And so it's like you have to go through all these settings to change your battle Pokemon, which I feel like is like almost a way for you to like to detract from you going to it. That if they just had it as like pick your fighter, or like they had an easy setting to go into it, I feel like it'd be nice to have everybody well versed and higher leveled. But also you're going through these tournaments over and over and over again. So how many times are you going to really go through this with like you're going to go through it with Chandelure, and you're going to go back with it with Gardevoir or whatever. Like, I feel like that would just be a slog.
Right. Is there also button remapping?
There is. Yeah,
Okay.
there is button
So,
remapping,
yeah,
which is
like,
nice.
I feel like that's what they were trying to do. Or this like was trying to be a step to maybe like the Smash and Evo and Tekken and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know. I don't know how this game sold
I
or
don't
how well
remember
received
how
it
it sold.
was.
I think the reviews were semi-decent. I don't think that the reviews were bad or anything, but let's take a look, actually. Okay, well, so it looks like Famitsu gave it a 34 out of 40. IGN gave it a great with an 8 out of 10. And then the Tournament Deluxe got a 76 and 79% respectively on Metacritic. Or at least the regular and then the Deluxe version, 76 and 79%. And then, let's see, current sale, or at least the most recent sales unit, it did not sell that well. Well, it sold over 1 million units worldwide. And as of March 31st, 2018, the Deluxe sold 1.1 million copies outside of Japan. So I guess that is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because, that was back in 2018. I don't know what the current statistic is now.
Right.
But, yeah, that's still decent. But also with, at that point, because the Switch was still, like, trying to catch on with, like, getting titles and stuff on it. So, I think 1.1 million in what is that, like, 6 months? I think that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, yeah, I had fun with it. But, yeah, like I said, if you like fighting games, this is something I would very easily recommend. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah, thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. Tell us in the comments what you thought. And also, again, we are both active on Twitch pretty often over here, so check the links down below if you want to see what we're doing. We usually stream at night, usually around like 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Right.
And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.